I spent a grueling year in the scorching chaos of the Middle East, ducking mortar rounds, neutralizing threats, and clinging to the thought of home to keep me grounded. Home was a humble three-bedroom ranch in a quiet cul-de-sac in Willow Creek, a planned community I'd chosen for its good schools, shady oaks, and serene vibe. I bought it before my third deployment, envisioning a place to rebuild my life. What I didn't count on was the Willow Creek HOA, a petty empire ruled by its own arcane bylaws. While I was halfway across the globe running recon in hostile territory, they decided my house was abandoned. My lawn had grown shaggy fair enough. The gutters were clogged guilty as charged. The mailbox had a scratch from a wayward delivery truck, hardly a crime. But instead of calling my emergency contact or noting the military exemption I'd filed, they invoked some obscure clause and declared my home unfit for ownership. Then they crossed a line no one could forgive. They rented it out to strangers. I landed back at the base in the States with a duffel bag slung over my shoulder, my deployment tent still fresh, and a bone-deep need to sleep in my own bed. I drove 12 hours straight, my heart lifting as I neared Willow Creek, only to freeze when I saw a minivan in my driveway, kids' toys scattered across the lawn, and curtains in my windows that weren't mine. I knocked, my pulse hammering. A woman answered, her brow furrowed. "Can I help you?" she asked. "I live here," I said, my voice catching. She blinked, confused. "No, we're renting from the HOA." She showed me a lease, signed by Carl Dempsey, the HOA president and self-proclaimed Lord of Willow Creek. I stood there, jaw tight, fists clenched, the world tilting under my boots. I didn't yell, didn't barge in. I just nodded, walked back to my truck, and called my JAG officer. He said it'd take weeks, maybe months, to fight this in court. I didn't have months. I had rights. And I had brothers and sisters who'd fought beside me. 3 days later, my old platoon gathered under the guise of a retirement barbecue. Carl and his HOA cronies had no idea what was coming. These weren't just friends, they were battle-hardened warriors, trained to clear compounds, neutralize threats, and restore order, no matter the odds. We hatched a plan, sharp and precise, to take back what was mine. At 0400 hours, we moved. Phase 1, diversion. Sergeant Lopez and Corporal Hayes called in a fake gas leak to the HOA office, tying up Carl's team with emergency services. For good measure, they scrambled the office Wi-Fi, killing their cameras and comms. Phase 2 approach. Staff Sergeant Carter and I rolled up to the house in polos and lanyards, clipboards and hand contractor cosplay at its finest. We knocked, calm as you please, and told the renters the property was being reclaimed due to an illegal lease. We handed over official-looking documents, printed on government letterhead for effect. The renters, a young couple with 2 kids, were stunned but cooperative. They'd had no clue the lease was bogus. I offered to cover a hotel for them until things were sorted, even helped load their bags into the minivan. They thanked me, shaken but grateful. By 0900, the house was empty. Phase 3, reclamation. My team swept in like a well-oiled machine. We changed the locks, secured the windows, and unpacked my belongings, which the HOA had stuffed into boxes and stashed in a storage unit. We repainted the mailbox, mowed the lawn with surgical precision, and hoisted my American flag back on the porch. It was mine again. That afternoon, Carl Dempsey screeched into the cul-de-sac in his shiny BMW, face beet red, spitting fury. "You can't just seize the property," he bellowed. "This is HOA jurisdiction." I stepped forward, now in my dress uniform, boots planted firm. "This is my home, Carl," I said, voice low and steady. "You rented it without my consent. That's theft. You ignored federal protections for deployed service members. That's a violation of the Service Members Civil Relief Act." He opened his mouth to argue, then froze. Behind me stood 5 veterans in uniform, arms crossed, faces like stone. Lopez held up his phone, recording every word. Carl's bluster collapsed. He muttered something about lawyers and stormed off, his car peeling out. The fallout was swift and merciless. Within days, my JAG officer filed a lawsuit against the HOA. The story hit local news, then went national. Social media erupted, with hashtags like Willow Creek Scandal trending. Veterans groups rallied, and the Department of Justice opened an investigation. Carl resigned in disgrace, and the HOA board was gutted, replaced by folks who actually understood the law. The renters found a better Placia real lease this time and I covered their first month's rent. They weren't the enemy. The enemy was a system that thought it could steal from someone who'd bled for his country. My platoon didn't need weapons or bloodshed to win this fight. We had truth, honor, and boots on the ground. Now, my flag flies high on the porch. The lawn is crisp, the gutters clear, the house secure. This is America, and you don't evict a soldier from his home not without a war. But the whispers in Willow Creek linger. Some call me a hero, others say I went too far. Carl's still out there, licking his wounds, and I hear he's got friends in high places. The HOA's new board is watching me, waiting for a misstep. I sleep with one eye open, because I know this fight might not be over. What would you do if someone took everything you fought for? Would you play by their rules or write your own?